OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Best bets later in the hour. Pierre, LeBrun coming up here in a few moments. Leafs Columbus tonight, and the Leafs have now won 3 in a row. Last week it was they had lost 3 in a row, but now they're feeling good, and the offense has been explosive, man. Their stars are showing up, right? Like their stars are showing up. Auston Matthews scoring every single night. William Nylander, a breakaway basically every single night. And you look at the goal-scoring lead, Draisaitl's got a pretty decent lead. He's got 34 goals on the season, clearly the favorite to win the Rocket. The guy who's second, Bill Nylander. Like William Nylander's got 28. He's tied with Reinhart for second in the league in goals.
Dude, that's a nice little number, man.
That's a really nice number.
28 in Jan, it's like, I mean, you're playing for 50 goals. Like
it's within reason. Yeah. You know, like you got to stay hot and you got to be on a heater and you might have to do something crazy down the stretch.
Yeah.
But
I used to have a little system where I'd be like, sometime around Christmas or just after, I'd like to have 15. So like 20 is a sure thing, and then it's kind of cherry on top. Anything then you're getting into 30s, most likely going to happen, and 40s on the table. But you got 28 in Jan. Like, you're looking at a heater streak, and you're possibly get a 50 goal scorer, man. That's massive.
He needs 22 in how many?
34? 30, yeah, I believe 36, I think. Have they played 46 games?
Something no, they've played 48. Tonight is their 49th game.
Yeah, 34.
Yeah, 30. So he needs 22 and 34. I mean, it'll be close.
Reasonable. Yeah, it's definitely going to be like he needs an empty netter late in the year. Yeah. It could be a storyline like we had last year. Is he going to play the final 2 games of the year? They've already clinched his spot in their first place, and Willie's sitting on 49 goals. Do you play him or not? Be prepared. That might be coming. You know, that might happen.
And Matthews is how many behind him?
Matthews has 19, I believe. He's 9 behind him.
Many Jerry's right now. Auston Matthews catches William Nylander for the team lead by season's end.
35%.
Dude, I'm 65, man.
I'm higher.
You guys are higher, man? That's a big
this
gap.
Guy's
Willie
insane. Dude, I don't care.
So does Willie, though.
Remember the one year he won the Rocket? You guys ridiculed me when I was like, don't count this guy out, man. He's going to come back, and he's going to win the Rocket. And you guys were like, he's too far behind. Draisaitl's ahead of him. It's not happening. And he did it. So watch out. It's a 65% mini Jerry.
Okay. Mini Jerry. Yeah.
Of him catching Nylander, not
that's right.
Draisaitl. Yeah,
that's right. We're just talking mini Jerry on Nylander.
I think he can do it. Personally, I think he can do it. I think, Willie is now found a way. Like, was it a comment? I didn't want to get radioed here. I thought I read a comment. Did Austin make a comment saying he cheats for offense?
Yes.
Did he say that?
Did, but then he followed it up quickly because he knew. He's like, and I mean that as a compliment because he reads the play so well, and he takes off when he has to. He does cheat for
offense. He's always on the outside, like stretches the play.
Right.
And that's, teams will guard against that. Like regular season, you can catch teams sleeping. Playoffs, not going to happen. But you know what? Like I think he can do it. It's close, but I could see Matthews passing. I don't know why.
All right, what's your Jerry's on Matthews catching Draisaitl?
Call it the right name.
Mini Jerry's. A mini Jerry.
No, a mini Jerry.
We don't use the
mini Jerry. It's like a little Hobbit Jerry.
Gerard. What is his name? Gerald. Mini Gerald. Okay, what is your mini Jerry on Matthews catching Draisaitl?
I'm 15% on that.
Yeah. He's 15 goals behind him.
Ooh,
smaller.
23%.
Okay.
I'm 23% is my mini Jerry on that one.
I'm 12%. It's doable, but I also think Draisaitl scoring every
He's not
night
slowing
too.
down. That's the whole point. Like if Matthews.
Okay, then blurt it out because the only reason
10%.
you asked this is because you wanted to give your 2%. It's 10%.
This is a community. This is a democracy. We're all involved in this. It's a mini Jerry on the fly. Although we have done multiple mini Jerrys, right? So should it not be pluralized if we're going to do multiple mini Jerry?
I like just Hobbit Mini Jerry.
Okay.
That's the name of the on the fly.
All right.
Hobbit Mini Jerry.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I I feel like Draisaitl is in the driver's seat chasing the Rocket, the Art Ross, a Hart Trophy. And why would he not want it? I know we talked about it last hour with Struddy where he's like, I don't think these guys care. Why would you not if you're Draisaitl?
Well, I'll give you one quick example. The other day, Draisaitl had an opportunity to score an empty netter, and he passed it. Like, if he's like, I got to add to my goal total,
dude,
jam that in.
Yeah, they're looking to win a Stanley Cup. There's no question. But when you got a cottage and there's a trophy room, the bigger the better. When you bring everybody downstairs to check it out, they're like, those are the Hart trophies. Blah blah blah.
When you're in the shadow, to an extent, it's a small shadow because of who Draisaitl is. He's a great player. But McDavid's got his MVPs, and if McDavid's playing great, everyone thinks he's going to win it. If you're Draisaitl, you've already got one. You want to get two. Malkin never got two. Right, yeah. Malkin never.
Guy lives every day with once a day. Somebody says greatest player in the world, McDavid.
Yeah, exactly. You take two while he's in his prime and he's around, and you know McDavid's going to get more likely. You got to strike while the iron's hot. If I'm Draisaitl, I have no issue with him being like, I'm chasing everything I can get.
You got it.
And I'm still going to be prepared come playoff time. Here's Pierre LeBrun, our TSN hockey insider. Do you have a handicap system on the Hart? Now that we're into late January, and if so, who's kind of at the top of your list, Pierre?
Oh, by the way, great show today. I've been listening to you guys since 4 o'clock.
Thank you.
Very good show, as always. But
Thank you,
it's nice to hear feedback sometimes. Yeah, exactly. I think Draisaitl is my guy. We've talked about this before. I feel Connor Hellebuck doesn't get enough love, and I just think he's putting on one of those Carey Price type years from when Carey Price won the Hart. So Hellebuck, they got a lot of time for him. And he's going to be tested even more now, by the way. That Adam Lowry news is not good.
What's the latest on him? He left in Utah, but what is the latest on Lowry?
So the Jets announced today he's out week to week, but I think it's a true week to week. And he's the heart and soul of that team, man. And I think the Jets were probably going to be already in the center market, or at least the forward market before March 7th, like any Stanley Cup contender anyway. But, I don't know if this adds urgency or not. Luckily, they padded their points in the standings pretty good. So if anyone can suffer a big injury, it's them. But yeah, hopefully it's not too long. But, I don't think the Jets got great news there. So that's a tough one. I mean, that guy with the matchups and everything he does, one of my favorite players in the NHL for sure, Adam Lowry.
Pierre, how important is the media wave leading up to the conclusion of the season as far as major award winners? Like the steam a certain narrative or player can either build upon or lose. Like how important is that, do you think, amongst voters? It seems like it's, in my eyes, pretty important.
Yeah, I don't think you can discount it. I mean, there's a lot of voters, and I should know this by now, 30 years doing this, but I always forget. But there's a long list of voters that the Professional Writers Hockey Association, those that get the vote. It's a ton, and because of that, it kind of, even though there's always some wacky ballots every year, they really get weeded out by the fact that the right guys usually win because there's a lot of voters. And the other thing that's important to know, you often hear from Western Conference hockey fans, the Eastern bias. The voting is geographically balanced by the PHWA. So this is not a thing where, you don't stay up at night and watch enough Kings or Oilers or Golden Knights. That's just not true. The voters are geographically balanced. Having said that, I think I can't speak for 300 voters, but, is Zach Werenski, for example, getting the kind of limelight he should be getting right now since he's in Toronto tonight? I point him out. Like, he has a legitimate Norris Trophy campaign going on right now. Mm-hmm. But is he truly going to get, the kind of votes that he should get or not because he's in a smaller market team? I think that's what you're getting at there, O-Dog. And certainly players who have great years on Canadian teams, they're always going to get a lot of sizzle for sure. But I think, honestly, I know when I vote, like, you go through all the numbers. I text a lot of coaches. I want to get everyone's opinion on it before I send up my ballot so that I'm as balanced as possible.
So, Pierre, just going back to the Lowry news, would they be in the market for, say, a guy who hasn't played in a couple of years that might be from Winnipeg area?
Look at you. Pretty good segue there, Noodles. So Kevin Cheveldayoff did an interview, I guess, yesterday with Winnipeg Free Press and our guy at The Athletic, and he was asked about Jonathan Toews, who, of course, hasn't played in a couple of years, Winnipeg native. And Cheveldayoff said that the Jets certainly would have interest in Jonathan Toews when the time was right, potentially. What I would tell you is that I think the chances are extremely slim that Jonathan Toews is a factor this year. I think the idea that he came out in that GQ interview during the holidays and announced that he might be doing a comeback, I think it's more realistic that it's about next season. Now, I don't want to say that 100% because never bet against a guy with the kind of the size of his heart in terms of Jonathan Toews. But that's, again, I checked in on that yesterday and was told that it's more likely it's a next season thing. He hasn't played in a couple of years. He really has to ramp up at his age and get himself in a place where potentially coming back next year. And even that's not a sure thing. Like, I think we got to be careful we don't put too much pressure on this guy in terms of the expectation. But if and when he does come back to the NHL, I don't think you can discount the possibility of the Jets at all, again, given his size.
So in The Athletic today, our friends Jonas Siegel and Chris Johnston collaborated on a 10-pack of centers that they believe the Leafs should
Very
be interested
juicy
in,
piece.
could be interested in, absolutely. And they have Ryan O'Reilly at the top of that list, who obviously was a Leaf a couple of years ago. The belief is Brad Treliving wanted him to stick around, offered him a contract, and he said, no dice, I'm out of here, I'm going to Nashville. Mm-hmm. If that is the case, how could this possibly come to fruition? Are you a believer that Ryan O'Reilly would be willing to accept coming back to Toronto, where, again, he's got this year and 2 more left after it? He's not a UFA at the end of the year. If he gets traded here, you presume he stays here for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah. So first thing I'd say is I dug into the Ryan O'Reilly situation last week, actually, and had a little note on it. But because one of the things I wanted to know is he actually available? I mean, it's fun to throw names out there on the dartboard, but it's also, I think, upon us to make sure these guys are actually available. And the answer is a kind of yes. So Nashville GM Barry Trotz is not actively shopping Ryan O'Reilly for a couple of reasons. One is that all the reasons he brought O'Reilly there to Nashville in terms of culture and leadership and everything else are still things that the Predators care about. And the other thing is, and I've quoted Barry Trotz saying this about a month ago after the Alex Carrier trade to Montreal, they were not interested in doing a retool or rebuild. They hope to spend money again next summer and get right back at trying to be a playoff team next year, which suggests that, they want a lot of veteran players still to be around. Having said all that, I've checked in on Ryan O'Reilly, and what I believe Barry Trotz has told teams is, I'm not going to hang up the phone, but if you're going to come at me on Ryan O'Reilly, you better be for real. Don't throw a draft pick at me. Like, be for real, and then we'll see, what I think about it. Here's where it gets interesting, and I think it was Yo-Dog that, made that great point about, well, how do we know if O'Reilly even would come to Toronto? And I don't want to stir the pot here, but I just want to point out a factual matter. Ryan O'Reilly does not have no trade protection in his contract. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those kind of strange things where Nashville doesn't like to give them out, although I think they had to give one out to Stamkos. But O'Reilly went there without one. Now, I think out of respect, the high level of respect that Barry Trotz has for Ryan O'Reilly, my understanding is that, he's already put a bug in his ear that, hey, I'll keep you informed here as this goes along. And, it doesn't have a no-trade clause, but at the same time, I think wants to respect the dude. But at the end of the day, Predators are going to do what's best for the Predators. So I think it's important to note that. Ryan O'Reilly doesn't really have a say to whether he gets traded.
Which then would be up to, the team that would be trading for him to try to get a read on his reaction to being there, right? Mm-hmm. Like, then that's the other side of the coin is, okay, maybe you put a package together that Barry Trotz and the Predators simply can't say no to, but if you're bringing a guy that has no interest in being there,
sure,
what's the point? You'd have to sniff that out if you were the Maple Leafs or any team, wouldn't you? Like, what kind of attitude and mindset are you going to get from a guy like Ryan O'Reilly?
No doubt about it. And now Ryan O'Reilly is such a classy pro that I can't imagine that he would come here and tout. But nevertheless, you'd want to do your due diligence if you're Brad Treliving. And in fact, my sense of things right now, and I'm not saying that this, refers to Ryan O'Reilly in particular, but just in general, I know from hearing from other teams around the league, Brad Treliving's been certainly diligent over the last week or two calling around and trying to separate fact and fiction in terms of which centers are actually truly available or which ones are kind of, forget about it. So those are some of the calls Treliving is making right now to get a better size up on the market. There are a couple of interesting factors in the trade deadline this year. One is that, I've had a few teams say to me, we're not sure if we want to try to get our guy before Four Nations or after, because it's only 12 days after Four Nations for the trade deadline. And it made me think for a second, wait a minute, is there some kind of trade freeze during Four Nations? And there is not. I double-checked that today. I knew there wasn't, but then I was like, I better double-check this just to make sure, because I might get asked about it. And the league confirmed to me today, there is not a trade freeze, but it's being treated as one, it seems like, by teams. And I don't know if it's because a lot of the players are gone to the Bahamas, and, it is, the schedule itself is paused, right? There are no NHL games during Four Nations. So teams are having this debate internally. A lot of them are having the pro scouting meetings the last couple of weeks. Are we going to try and get something done right before February 9th or February 10th? Or are we going to just wait in those final 12 days? And I'm getting a lot of interesting different responses. That there are some teams that believe it could be a bit of a flurry right before the Four Nations break. I'm not convinced of that. I think it's nice to want that and to plan on that. The single number one reason why more trades happen on right around deadline day is because it's easier to do for the cap. And the cap problem doesn't go away just because there's a Four Nations break. So we'll see.
With Pierre, LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider, we've discussed here the Leafs and where they're at. Then you look at the other teams in the East, Montreal and Ottawa, currently sitting in wildcard spots and, dealing with different realities in terms of who they have, what they have. Was it Josh Norris that left the game last night, Noodles? And I didn't see an update on him.
Yeah. So I'll just give a quick update. I don't know. I don't know if he'll play tomorrow. They pulled him for precautionary measures. He's hit his chin on the ice. Mm-hmm. And by the sounds of it, I don't think he'll play tomorrow.
Okay, so there you go. Josh Norris may not play.
But can't they say to him, like, do you feel okay? And if he says, yeah, I'm good to go, he plays? Like, I don't – anyway, go ahead, Brian, with your
question. It's a big one tomorrow in Boston. But sure, it's not long-term, I guess, is important to point out, right? The hope isn't the hope is that Norris will not be at long-term. He's had a lot of injury issues. But they're having scoring problems all of a sudden in Ottawa. I would presume, goal scoring is something they're looking for. And in Montreal, that was the story coming into this year. Can they score? Like, they've had real issues scoring in the past. Since Laine's arrived, that has all of a sudden come to an end. I guess what I'm asking you is, like, if you're looking for offensive firepower, is it more likely Ottawa would want to achieve that? Montreal would want to achieve that? How do you see the mentalities of the GMs in Ottawa and Montreal approaching that?
Yeah, I don't think either team right now sees that as a major issue, Brian, to be honest. It's an issue in Ottawa because they're not scoring right now, but not an issue bigger picture in terms of the talent that they believe they have on their roster. The other thing I would say to you is that I think both those teams, and this is what I've heard, are still in the let's be careful here mode when it comes to March 7th because they're on the bubble. So the idea that they're both can be buyers right now. Certainly in Montreal's case, I think that's premature. I mean, for Kent Hughes and the Habs, this is more about we have all these pending UFAs like Jake Evans and Yoel Armia and David Savard. If we decide to keep a lot of them, that's maybe the byproduct of being in it, as opposed to actually going out and being buyers, if that makes any sense. Not to mention the fact that they've made one of the real good trades of the season already in Alex Carrier. I mean, that really stabilized the right side. And kind of everything had a domino effect off that trade. I mean, that was a really sly trade by Kent Hughes. But the idea that, everyone's excited, the 13-3-1, the last 17, let's go out and be buyers, I don't buy that right now. I think there's still a lot of games between now and March 7th, and I don't think Kent Hughes is losing sight of the bigger picture here.
Okay.
For one. Okay. Now, Ottawa's a bit different in the sense that I think there's still way more pressure on that organization to get in this year than Montreal for obvious reasons. I mean, they've been at this longer. this is supposed to be the year. I think what Ottawa would love to do if they upgrade is that it's more of a hockey deal. They don't get into the rental market as much as do something that can, where it's a player that's still with them going into next year. That makes any sense. And I could see that, the fact that they've hung in without Allmark this long, by the way. Noodles is around that team a lot, but I think that's been a pretty amazing story. Like, I kind of wondered when he went down week to week. I was like, oh boy, that could be it, and it hasn't. So credit to the Senators on that front.
Well, he's been out multiple times, right, Noodles? But sandwiched in between them, the guy was the best goalie in the league when he was playing.
Well, yeah, he was 8-0-1 before the injury in Edmonton, which was December 22nd, and what is it, January 20? It's a month today he was injured.
Crazy.
So is he playing tomorrow?
No, he hasn't taken shots outside of just with the trainer. I watched him yesterday at MSG.
He's on the trip. Yeah.
He's on the trip, and he's practicing, but he hasn't practiced with the team yet. So I would say, probably another week to 10 days before he ramps up, if there's no setbacks.
Well, of course.
And got Forsberg and Maryline that are playing. I do hear. I had a chat with David Perron last night. I think he's playing. If he's not playing tomorrow, I think he is. With the Norris injury, he might be inserted. So that is a boost for them. A veteran that they signed who really is had the personal issue with the family and then an injury, so that's almost like adding a player, which we'll see what he's got.
Sure.
Speaking of injuries, guys, just to pass on, given our audience, but I think the Leafs are feeling pretty good about how Tavares is coming along, by the way. Mm-hmm. I think they feel he's doing pretty well. In terms of progression, they should get a better sense of his timeline in the coming days here, so watch for that. But
that means, and I know insider code words, that means he plays Saturday night?
I'm not saying that. No, actually, that would surprise me. But I think they're, given what it could have been, I think they're feeling better about it. The other thing I'd say on the Leafs, because I never really did answer your question, Brian, on the trade deadline and the Leafs, going back to the piece that Jonas and Chris wrote today. My guy from the beginning, and it's not the sexiest name, but it's because I'm trying to be more realistic about guys that are actually available. My guy from the beginning has been Yanni Gourde for the Leafs, and for a couple of reasons. He's pending UFA. Seattle's not going to make the playoffs. They're going to have to get real at some point and start selling. And I just loved what he did for Tampa that cup year when he played on that line. And listen, that's a couple of years ago. He's not exactly the same player now, 33. He's actually currently hurt right now, too. But it's more realistic for me, and I know that the Leafs have scouted him a few games because of the price. I mean, the Leafs have spent a lot of assets the last few years, and because he's pending UFA, and because he plays a hard game. Mm-hmm. Like, let's look at the moves that Treliving keeps making, and the coach that's now behind the bench, Craig Berube. To me, that has a great influence on the guys that you're targeting. What guy do they want in their lineup, and what kind of player can he be come playoff time? And I think if Gourde healthy, I just think we have proof from his Stanley Cup year in Tampa of the kind of hockey he plays.
Yep, that's valid, and he is a winner. He's done it before. All right, Pierre, good stuff as always. Thank you for doing this.
Right on. See you, boys.
Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider. Doogie keeps pointing this out, and it's accurate. I mean, I had that parlay yesterday. I thought Brady Tkachuk was a lock to get on the board last night. Pointless in 8 games. What's going on with him? He's fighting Shesterkin and.
Well, he's all around it. Listen, the stats don't lie. You don't have a point in 8 games. I mean, we didn't focus on it, and we haven't because they've been winning.
Right.
So it's not a problem. It's only a problem when you're not winning. So all of a sudden you lose a game and you get skunked 5-0. This was a weird play. Shesterkin stayed down hurt for a while. It looked like he hyperextended his arm.
Then he was like the wrestler that got off the wheelchair.
And then all of a sudden it was the Undertaker or whoever come out of the coffin, and at one point he had his glove over Brady's face. I was trying not to laugh on air, because Brady was fighting about 5 guys. And if I'm Forsberg, I would have made that.
You got to get down there, man, don't you?
You got to get down there. If the goalie's in there, you go. And I can honestly say in my career, if you Google it, Aginla fought Thomas Vokoun. You see how fast I got down the ice on Vokun. I ended up jumping on him. Made it look like I threw him to the ground. Iggy had popped him one before he went down. But anyways, it's Brady.
That's a code, man. You got to get down there. The goalie's
gotta
in.
get down there.
You got to go down.
Well, especially if the goalie looks really horned up to get involved, then you're like, let's do this.
Yeah. And it was 5-0 at that point, wasn't it? It was like the end of the game.
It was
close to
it was 3 or 5. They had, keep in mind, it was Ottawa allowed 5. They had 2 called back goals or 2 disallowed coaches' challenge that Greeny had. The goalies got beat 7 times last night.
And 8 games would get your attention as a top line player. You're talking first line power play unit. Play with the best guys, captain. Like when you get up to 8 games, it gets your attention. Like 3 or 4, you're like, what the hell's going on? Like any duration with no points gets your attention. Your go-to thing is I provide points on a nightly basis for the most part, and when you don't do it, it gets your attention, especially after 8 games.
100%.
I always think of Tom Barrasso with those reports that the trainer's shooting on Linus Ullmark. Like, would Barrasso accept that, or would he say that doesn't happen?
I don't know, but it's one of my you just have memories. It's just a bunch of memories playing in the NHL. Seeing an assistant coach take a flick shot at his pads and him just immediately putting his head down and skating out of the net and saying, "No coaches shoot on me, only NHL players," is my favorite thing ever. Favorite thing ever.
So obnoxious.
I know. Yeah. But you're right. If he did a rehab thing and he was out on the ice, what does he do? Does he say, get one of the rookies to come out here because you're not shooting on me?
Probably, yeah.
Right now it was Justin Peters, his goalie coach, and I think Ben Sexton with the assistant coach.
Oh, and I'm talking about Tommy. What would Tommy do? He'd say, go get a player from inside the locker room because you're not shooting on me.
I'm not. You don't help me rehab. You're scum. You don't shoot on me for rehab. Go get someone out here to help me rehab this injury.
Dude, that guy did it right, though. He was going to the Olympics, and he found out I was going to Vegas for the Olympic break for 4 or 5 days, and he's like, I'm going to Vegas before the Olympics, and I know you're going there. I have a private bird picking me up in San Jose right after the game if you want to hop in. And I was like, absolutely. This thing's dialed up with sushi, champagne.
What a baller move, man.
And then 3 days in a row, we played Shadow Creek, and he picked me up at my hotel in a limousine. It could have been. We could have gone in the taxi. But I don't care. Me and my buddy Murph were going out there. It was 3 days in a row, limo ride, Shadow Creek, and back.
Oh, that's outstanding, man.
Dude, the guy does it right, man. He was just. I got along very well with Tommy Barrasso.
I would think that would suit you very well. That's a lifestyle connection that I think you would happily accept.
Yeah.
Shadow Creek, I think, is the most expensive greens fee in the U.S. now. I think it's $1,100 or something to play. Jesus. It's crazy.
Yeah. I remember saying to him on the 18th, we had to do this 3 days in a row, but when you're playing golf for nothing, I was like, what do you give this 4-caddy guy? And I thought he would say $100. He's like, nothing less than 500. And I'm like, got it.
500. So 1,500 over the course of 3 days.
Because this guy, these dudes that play Shadow Creek all the time, they get a relationship with the 4-caddy.
Right.
What do you give them? Nothing less than 500.
Yeah, that's
got it. There
you go. I guess so, man. I guess so. Yeah, I saw something about a caddy recently online that threw me off a little bit. Little Milosh behavior, Noodles. You would appreciate this. Yeah, one of our caddies back. We don't have to get into it, but I thought this guy was on the mini tour, one of the great golfers I've ever met, and it turns out it's closer to Milosh. Yeah, it's a little bit choppy at times. Anywho, it's time to talk. It's time to talk about youth mental health. This Wednesday, today is, of course, Bell Let's Talk Day, and we invite you to text YOUTH to 45678 and donate $5. Every dollar helps 6 incredible organizations, and Bell will match your donation up to $1 million. Let's create real change. Join the movement at bell.ca/Let's Talk. All right.
Maybe JP get in our ears to not talk about golf and Shadow Creek before
Well, that was on me. I could have
maybe
maybe thrown to the Alice Brother clue. That probably would have been a better idea than that segue. That was on me.
Yeah.
That was an amateur play. But it's an important cause, and obviously, it's a great one, and we urge people to help out. Bell.ca/Let's Talk. We'll come back with Alice Brothers clue. All right, Alice Brothers got his 3rd clue of the week. We still don't know where this guy is. He's somewhere in the city. And we've got our best bet still to come as well. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, best bets later in the hour. As I think most people know by now, we sent Al's brother out into the city with a pair of Leaf tickets. And you have to guess where he's hiding for your chance to win them. We've already heard 2 clues from Al's brother this week. Are you guys prepared to hear the 3rd clue?
Yep.
Hey, OverDrive fans, it's Wednesday, and we'll get you one step closer to answering where I'm at this week for those Leafs and Wild tickets on January 29th. Here's your Wednesday clue. I was feeling a little bit crammed in my condo, so I decided I'll come here and spread out a little bit. This majestic building is close to 100 different rooms. My condo has 2.
Okay, I know where he is now. Tune in tomorrow for the final clue of the week. The first caller through on Friday with the correct location wins a pair of tickets to see Leafs Wild next Wednesday. Find Al's brother is brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora. Our family, the Ford family, and you. Full details at tsn1050.ca.
Where is he?
I said it yesterday at the end.
Casa Loma.
I don't know. Maybe. Like, what's the point of giving it away now?
Yeah,
if
why
there's
are you
another
giving
clue
it
tomorrow?
away?
I don't even understand what he said. This place is 100 rooms. My condo has 2. What does this condo have to do with anything?
Well, he was saying, I want to get out and find some more space and a little bit more room, I guess. And he's, Casa Loma's a massive place. If that is in fact where he is, there's a lot of rooms at Casa Loma, right? It's a majestic building. It's a beautiful spot. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow, I guess.
Are shady.
Yeah, I think he might be there. I feel like he probably is. But anyway, doesn't matter. I mean, even if you know it, it doesn't guarantee you get through, right? That's true. You got to listen for the cue to call on Friday, and Doogie, you'll maybe get your call. And I wonder how many people call in and don't know the answer. Like, I've never asked Doogie that, but it wouldn't surprise me if people just heard call now for Leaf tickets and they just call.
Yeah.
Not realizing
what if
that
they get through, and then they've got the wrong answer. Like, have you ever seen those Wheel of Fortune where the guy's one letter away and he just butchers it?
Oh, yeah. Those are the best, man. There was one recently that was really offside,
God,
right?
Dude. It was like there was only one letter not in it, and he butchered it.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. Like, it was some, catchphrase or something, and the guy said stuff that was not, completely abnormal.
And I think it was, sexual or racial. It was awful.
No, this one wasn't.
Yeah.
This was just stupid. This was flat out stupid. He said sausage. I think the word was sausage or something.
It was sausages. But it was sexualized. I think you're right, Noodles. It was something like, I don't know what it was, man. It was like fondling sausages at night. And they're like, what?
And he goes, no. And then he shakes his head going, no. Like, you knew he knew like, you could see his head
Doogie,
explode.
get that clip.
Yes.
And I don't think it was sexual. It was just flat out stupidity.
Okay,
he just
maybe.
said he was stupid.
Yeah, it was way off, man.
Dude, and everyone was just beside themselves. They were like, dude, there's only one letter not there, and you said sausage?
Yeah, not even close.
And it was like he doubled up a word, like he made up a word in between. It was like in a sausage, and it's like, no.
It said a round of sausage.
A round
of sausage. Do we have that? Like, we have to see
We'll
this.
find it. We'll find it. Joe from the Bridge will get it. Because what makes it so great is the confidence that the guy has when he clicks in, right?
Yeah,
Like,
a round of sausage.
You know who he looked like? He looked like Brian Dable. Did he not look like the Giants?
Yeah, you're right. He did kind of have. I got to see this clip now.
The guy goes, and then he shook his head. He knew right away that he screwed up.
Right.
It is ridiculous.
And then another contestant hit it and got it right
away.
Immediately got it right. And reluctantly, kind of like almost like they empathized a little bit for Dable. They're like, dude, sorry, but that's way off. Like, this is the right answer. Yeah. It's kind of crazy how those shows, like forever, it was Pat Sajak and
Vanna
White, and you had Alex Trebek, right? Like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune were the same two guys for 30 years.
Yeah.
And now, Trebek's obviously not hosting, and he passed away, and Sajak's not hosting anymore. Is it Seacrest that does it now? He does Wheel of Fortune. He's one of them anyway.
Yeah.
I think Ken Jennings does Jeopardy.
And Drew Carey does what is that?
That's right. No. Bob Barker. That's the Price is Right. Yeah, you're right. Between Bob Barker, Pat Sajak, and Alex Trebek, Those guys did the same job every day for 30 years. And they'd work 2 weeks a year. I think they just knocked out a full season over the course of 2 weeks.
Every time I saw Pat Sajak at a hockey game, I would smash my stick on the glass and yell, "Patty Sage!" And the guy skating behind me would always bust out laughing.
That would be because he's always in LA, right? He's always at
first row. I saw him first row all the time.
Okay. Doogie, do we have this yet? Or
Oh, my God.
Okay, we're working on it. We got to find it. We'll why don't we come back and play it? Full breakdown. We'll get to our best bets powered by FanDuel as well. And, again, tee up Leafs Columbus with the Blue Jackets in town and Dennis Hildeby getting the start for the Maple Leafs. So more on that still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. These best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Adam Fantilli, he's back in Southern Ontario. I guess he said he's got 70 people coming to the game tonight. That's got to cost him a fortune if you're supplying that many tickets to a Maple Leaf game. That's huge. But I think he gets on the board with a point tonight. Auston Matthews, 4+ shots on goal. That parlay paying plus 200. So you get plus money on Fantilli getting on the board. I could see a lot of goals getting scored tonight, too. I could see a 6-4 barn burner of a game.
Didn't they have an incredible comeback against Columbus last year? They were down 5-1 in the third or something?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. That was Columbus where they were down big and they stormed back and won 6-5
They lost it in overtime.
Oh, they lost in overtime. You're right. I think they did end up losing in overtime.
Yeah, good pluck, Doogie. Great work.
Great work by Doogie. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every NHL game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+, physically located in Ontario. All right, we referenced this Wheel of Fortune clip, and we have it. We've got the whole thing in its glory.
Fired up, man.
Let's play it.
I'd like to buy you. Well, you're going to get 3 U's. I like to solve a puzzle. Okay, well, let's hear it. Treat yourself a round of sausage. I'm sorry, that's not it. Over to
Dude,
Katina.
it starts with an A.
Okay.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, that's it. Although, Will, I kind of like yours better. That sounds.
Man, the first word, it's 4 letters. Treat does not. Treat ends with a T. It's just absurd that guy.
And how did he say? Did he say sausage or a sausage? He made one word into two. What was he doing?
He was so applause. He saw sausage, man. That's what that guy saw. He saw sausage, and he's like, I got to formulate something that ends with sausage. Treat yourself
a round of sausage.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
can you imagine if let's say one of us show up on Jeff or Wheel of Fortune and we pulled that stunt, I don't know if we could ever make it back on the show.
Retired immediately. I'm working in a different craft. I'd never be able to show my face.
Would you guys do it, though? If we could be on a game show, would we do it?
I don't know, man.
I know some people in L.A.
I think we'd buckle under the pressure.
I just don't want it. I don't want it for that exact reason. I toss out, treat yourself a round of sausage, and I have no job.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
I feel like Jerry D would have us on. What's his show then?
Yeah, he does
Family Feud.
He does Family Feud Canada. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Jerry does a great job with that.
I love Jerry.
But I've done that. I've done what do they call the final feud? The one where you got 20 seconds and I can't remember.
That will make your brain seize.
The final questions.
When you have you have 20 seconds starting now, blah, blah, blah. That one, you panic, dude. And you, with easy stuff, which is what it really is amazing. And it's what makes the show so great. What color comes to mind when you think of, and you'll yell out, 4, and it's what? It doesn't even make sense, man. And I've tried that before on the fly, on the air, did it way back in the day, and I was way off.
Yeah.
It's tougher than you think because you're under pressure, man.
Don't you get 15 seconds the first one? The second one gets 20 seconds, and you hear that, now you're screwed.
Right.
Now you panic.
Totally screwed.
Wires
give the same answer. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tougher than you think, and you gotta choose who goes out and represents you for that, right? Like for the Family Feud, like it's 2 of the 5 contestants, and that means you're representing everybody. You go out there and screw it up, like especially if the first person gets like 135 points or something, and you need 65 to get over, and you can't do it.
Yeah, and like 3 answers are 0, like you literally.
It's so embarrassing, and it is so embarrassing. I don't want anything to do with that. I mean, it would be funny. It would be kind of cool, but I do think we'd embarrass ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a good thing to try, though, on the station. Like, we might have to – we should take on, like, Kolyakovo and Korolnik, and we dust
or
those
Jonas
2.
And Masters. Like
Jonas and Masters, we never lose to them when it comes to trivia, ever.
Right.
But we could maybe set something up, a game show week, where we take people on and – I don't know how we
do it during the
make
4
it work.
nations.
We could incorporate what we could do is incorporate sports. We have to do some work behind it. Like we can poll a bunch of people working on the Sports Center set and say we interviewed 10 people. They said the Leafs should get this player, and like we can incorporate sports into the
top 6 answers are on the board.
Idea. Exactly,
that type of stuff.
Exactly. Okay. Doogie, get on the case, man. I don't know when we do this or when we pull the trigger, but maybe we can ask Jerry to come in too.
We should target during when the 4 Nations is out, like kind of like it's quieter there. The NHL shut down.
Yeah.
Like maybe we do a games week or something.
That might work, man. There's something there. I think there's something there for sure. I think Jerry's still on tour, man. I still get emails all the time like Jerry D's.
Oh, he's the best.
I've seen him doing his comedy tour all over Canada, I think.
I've seen him no less than 5 times, like and gone to his gone to his shows. I'm fortunate enough, like I text him and say, "Can I say hi afterwards?" Like I'm a fan. I love Jerry D. Like I think
he's awesome.
So good.
He's great.
So good.
He's great.
Like,
Yeah, I saw him at Massey Hall. I think it was in the spring. He was awesome. Like really good act right now. That's tough too, man. You got to roll those acts out. You got to you can't do the same thing for 30 years. You got to come up with new material, and that's a grind because you come out with something that just doesn't land. That's terrifying. The first night, people aren't laughing, and you're like, I'm
especially
going on
trying
tour.
to be funny as a comedian nowadays, where everyone finds everything offensive. Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's woke. Like it's tough. Like some of those comedians don't want to do it. Like Chappelle's like, I'm done with it. Although Chappelle doesn't. I think he's like woke. Teflon towards it, right? He doesn't care. He just goes.
Well,
right
he's
at
so
it, right?
like you see him at SNL. He was smoking up on stage.
I know.
I've never seen any host do that, man. This guy was flicking ashes on the stage of Saturday Night Live.
Dude, just Andrew Dice Clay, like, as soon as it says no smoking, that's when he lights up.
Yeah.
Just light up. What are they going to do?
Well, that was what Chappelle he probably didn't ask anyone. He's like, what are you going to, it's a live show. You're going to kick me off? Like, I'm here. You want me to be on? This is what happens. And he started he started his monologue because he did like a 15-minute open. And he said that, SNL and Lorne Michaels kept asking him, like, will you do it? Will you do it? Will you do it? And he kept pushing him off. And he wouldn't be surprised if he said, I'll do it, but I'm smoking up there. Like, this is what's coming. Like, don't ask me to stop it. Don't tell me to put it out. Don't get pissed off afterwards.
Dude, I'm smoking. I'm swearing. I'm doing whatever I want.
Yeah, like, this is the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it, that's a you problem, not a me problem. All right, Leafs Columbus tonight. Got a few games in the NHL, a bunch in the NHL tomorrow. We're getting closer to the NFL, right? I got to talk to Al's brother, see where our head's at. We got to pick which game we want. We'll be doing that on Friday. Luke will join us, and I honestly don't have a feel one way or the other. I want the Bills to win, and I'd love to see Washington. I think we'll get to this as the week goes on here. Like, Jaden Daniels is a win away from the Super Bowl as a rookie. That's crazy. It's remarkable, man. This guy could be in the Super Bowl as a rookie a week from now. So we'll get to that with Luke a little bit later this week. All right, Leafs Columbus tonight. Bunch of games in the NBA. Raptors in action. There's a lot going on. And we'll have a full breakdown tomorrow as we always do. So thank you to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Treat yourself to a round of sausages. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.